Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Oh yeah, I can feel that. This might, in fact, probably will be a shorter stream than usual. I'm not feeling great. Got a little bit of a frog in my throat. So we'll see how it goes. I've got hot tea. I'm going to try to make sure when I take my breaks to actually make more tea and not just get water, so that I have something warm to keep sipping on. And I'll stop if it gets, physically painful to keep talking. So, oh, 1 second. Let me go spam the Pyanodon's Discord. It's been a few weeks. I feel like I can. Continuing to ramp up the whale base and work towards... All right. Discord spammed. Where's my game? Okay. So yeah, last time, I didn't work on any of the things that I wanted to work on. Instead, we got a bunch of processing done for several of the byproducts around the base. So we took care of force fraction here, and what else? I don't remember. But it was mostly taking care of byproducts. We've got up here what will eventually become urea. Yes, urea. And then somewhere I should have a factory making Zogna then that needs to do a delivery here. I think that factory is probably waiting on this seaweed tech, though. Yeah, there we go. Zogna bacteria. So this is waiting on, yeah, Petri dishes, and Petri dishes are waiting on seaweed. Yep, okay. So yeah, when this tech is done, everything that I was working on last week will kind of finally turn on, and we'll see if it all works. But for now, at least, nothing should be backed up in the base. Are we still doing... Where's stone? There's stone. Oh, we're still doing a lot of gravel crunching, which worries me. That we're still not making enough, like, gravel as byproducts of other things, and it just kind of keeps getting made from stone. What's going on here? This is off. Is this off because it's full? Yes. Okay. That's fine. No, that's not fine. This isn't full. This should be running. We don't have borax. Why don't we have borax? Borax. Oxygen. Oxygen? Oh. Did I... Yep, okay. So this is where I had made this extra biomass station right through here. It looks like I had a pipe and I broke it. So let's go fix that pipe. Where is that? Over here. I'm glad I caught that. And then we will have to figure out what our next step is on the to-do list. All right, there we go. Cool. I was worried that I had, yeah, because this is still doing the, like, top-up valve configuration instead of doing a dump and direct. Like, I've been switching most of the places where I did this to, let's see. I don't have an outfall. But I've been switching away from this thing where I take the water out of this process and then I reuse it and top it off with this pump to just like setting up an outfall and would dump this water and bring in all the input water from this pump because it just avoids weird backups. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, none of these have the recipe. Oh, interesting. That we're missing some seaweed modules there. But that's okay. So this would be... What is this one for? This is the seaweed that goes down to fertilizer. Okay. So yeah, this is full of ash and biomass and everything else. And it just needs... Yeah, this needs urea, which will come once we get the seaweed recipe, and it needs seaweed, which will come once we get the seaweed recipe. Okay, that's all fine. I think I mostly left things in a good place last week. So, I think we can just move on to the to-do list. And the to-do list says Augs, and I guess that I believe that that's a thing I should work on. Let's flip over to YAFC. Oh yeah, because I would have already done... Actually, let's not flip over to YAFC yet. Let's find... Where did I put the Augs making manure? Way down at the bottom. All right. Because yeah, I did this. And this is all just making manure. But this isn't making any Augs to slaughter. And it also has not been swapped over to... what do I want to say? It has not been swapped over to Auog food yet. So swapping this over to do Auog food as an input would obviously improve the throughput here. What did I end up building? 20 of those. Okay. So if we go to YAFC then, let's do the version without food for now. Yeah, we won't quite get one a second, but that's fine. We'll set our building count to 20, because I think that's just... It's a fine scale. It's easy enough to maintain moss at that scale, and the native flora input that's needed. So we'll do the same scale, basically. Although, actually... that can go away. Do I have a urea? I'm curious how this, like, number of inputs compares to the urea recipe, or our manure scale, rather, with 20 machines. So we're going to make manure from this recipe. With the guys... 842. Here it's 5, 2.5, 1 1/4. Okay. So it's the same recipes. It's actually less total inputs. So I think 20 of these machines will be fine. And then if I wanted to change this to... the version that takes Auog food. Yeah, that's significantly better. It does use just a little bit more water, moss, and native flora, though. Okay. That's fine. But yeah, like 20 buildings is... but this is still less than what it uses on the manure build. Which I just want to make sure that we're not going to, like, run into needing too many materials all on one belt or something like that. So yeah, I think we basically just need another 20 Auog paddocks. We'll set it up in exactly the same way. We'll just need to set the thresholds for all of the materials a little bit differently around this 5, 2.5, 1 1/4. Well, actually, 8, 4, 2, it's kind of the same ratios. So maybe we don't have to set anything different. Maybe it just works. Okay. I've actually got a thought for how to organize this a little bit differently. And maybe I want to go prototype that on the existing build. And then we'll, yeah, let's do that. Let's go change some things with this build. Just to make it a little bit more manageable and a little bit less... Like, the sushi belt is fine and all, but the only thing that spoils is the native flora. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of items in the sushi belt anyway to keep up with the demand. And so with that being the case, I am not sure that the sushi belt is doing what I want it to do. And we're going to change some things. My poor inventory is going to be a disaster. Hopefully we can pick all this stuff up. Alright, and then these guys, this is going to be a sushi belt where they output, and I know that sounds weird, but there's a method to my madness. Okay, and this output filtering all needs to change, because we do need to still loop some things around. What is... Okay, that's where the rich clay comes through. That's fine. Make space for that. Okay. And then what is this? Oh, this is filtering out biomass. We don't need that here either. Okay, so first things first, output priority left. We only want, what's it called? Native flora. And this is what we'll loop. Now, out the other side, we're going to have another series of splitters. So output priority right here. This can be the empty barrels. And then off of that, we're going to have newer left. And then out this side, will only ever be, this should just be spoilage products from the flora. Now down here, we've got barrels and moss coming in on one belt. And then if we ever switch over to the other recipe that uses Auog food and sap, that'll just come in on a second belt. There we go. Knew that was going to happen. Alright, so this is going to be just moss and barrels coming down this side. All of these have extra water barrels in them right now, so they'll, when there's demand for actual manure, they will do their thing. This is going to be rich clay coming out still. This is still going to be fluorospalanin. And then we need the input side here. How best to do that? I think I want to do that. Basically, connect that right to there. And what will happen is the outside of this belt will all be the flora. And we'll have, whoops. Okay. So yeah, the outputs of each of these will just keep running. And then we're going to have on the, on one loop of this belt is going to be native flora. And on the other loop is going to be, well, just on the return is our outputs, which is going to be manure and rich clay. And I think that's pretty much it. And then if this is ever upgraded to take Auog food, it's just a matter of adding these guys and another belt here. Is this simpler than what was there before? I don't know, but the sushi belt didn't seem like it was working super well. I don't know if it's the ratios, the number of input items we need, but it was being finicky last week, so I wanted to just move away from it. Alright, hey, that's seaweed done. And that means that things should be turning on that use that seaweed recipe. So like up here... Yeah, those are all turned on. Excellent. Ah, we're still waiting for the glass itself to finish backing up. That's funny. Oh, but it's close. These should be stopping shortly. Yeah, they are. There we go. And as soon as we start to see, yeah, seaweed coming through here, these should all start turning on. Each of these has their own buffer, and the inputs to Agar are all set up. So as soon as there's a stack of these out. So in theory, I don't think we can have spoilage. But just in case, we do have pathways to clear that. I did set up a station here. I don't think this should ever be able to break, though. Well, no. It could break if we don't have glass. That's right. If for some reason glass turns off, these can have agar sitting in them for too long and start spoiling. That is the failure state. And then the other place where we're going to have that new seaweed recipe, this is old seaweed recipe, is... Where did I put it? Yeah, this one. Okay. So this will be seaweed coming down. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't quite see. I couldn't remember how I had this set up. But this is seaweed on these belts down into the middle here because this needs a lot of seaweed. And then the only thing that we are left waiting for now is urea, and then we should get our first fertilizer. And urea is just waiting on these to start making. Oh, this needs steam. Did I not hook up steam? I never hooked up steam here. All right, let's go hook up steam there. At least that's not too far away from me. There's always something. All right. Yeah, each of these uses how much steam a second? 20, and we have 10 of them, so that's 200 steam a second. I think that's only like one boiler. No, it's 4 boilers. Okay. And then input there. There we go. That should be able to turn all of these on. There we go. That is Petri dishes, or Petri dishes if you prefer. All right, that's going to take a minute for those to fill up enough slots here for the Zogna to turn on, and then the Zogna to come up here and do the manure. So that's fine. Some of this manure is probably going to turn to rich clay in the meantime, and I'm just going to accept that. Okay. So that's turned on. This is the new layout, and this is the layout that I wanted to use because it's easier to upgrade to It's easier to upgrade to taking an Auog food later on. But in the meantime, let's head back up to the main base and let's get... We're going to set up the build for 20 paddocks making Augs. And that will be our first animal that goes in as a, like, dedicated slaughter animal. We will also, as we start to build the sort of facilities around that, need to start thinking about how we do, how we want to keep that all organized. But, man, my inventory is a disaster. Let's see. What do we need? We need Auog paddocks. We're gonna need 20 of those. And then, if we look at this, it uses more, more moss for these ones. So we'll build off of that scale. Muddy sludge and CO2, but not stone, probably. That's 40. Maybe we go with, and stone. Only 16. Okay, yep, we're going with stone for this build. Because again, muddy sludge will be on site, right? All that. CO2 will bring in. Water barrels will be on site, and then we just need enough native flora mining. That looks like 6 miners. Okay, so we need 16 moss farms and 6 flora collectors. And while we're waiting for the bots to figure that out, let's see what else we want to grab from the base here. Maybe another stack of reds. Another stack of blues wouldn't go amiss either. I feel like I'm always running out of inserters, so I'm just kind of like, you know what? Let's just grab them all. I'll grab some more rails as well. Yeah, the bots are trying to do my trash slots for some reason before they bring me other stuff. Oh, no, here we go. They're bringing stuff. Oh, no. These guys are all empty-handed. They're coming exclusively to deal with my trash slots. Interesting. Oh, all these water barrels are barrels that I stole from the loop for Auog manure, so I should also put those ones away. What do I need? I want to grab more rails. That's fine, that's fine. Auog paddocks, I'm gonna need to make some extras of those. It looks like those are fine. Flora collectors, there's plenty. Moss farms, we might need to make a couple, and Auog paddocks, we need to make a few more. So for the Auog paddocks, I need, oh, stone and soil. Oh, that's right. I forgot how awful those were. Are we making those here? Theory. Yeah, this is just filling up the The single requester chest is always, there's only so much we can do here. I guess I could do stack inserter. Well, I'd have to change this whole build if I wanted to change these to stack inserters. Alright. While that's running, the other thing I might need more of is moss farms. We've got 13, there's 2 on the way. What do I need to make a moss farm? Also soil and steam engines. Alright. Let's grab what we need for... to make a few Auog paddocks. Oh, I've got a bunch of these chests that have been... These were all of my random dump chests that I made over the... And... Nope, there's 3 of those en route. Auog paddocks, yeah, we need stone as well. I thought I had a stone chest around somewhere. There we go. Oh, oops. And, oh, more soil. Always more soil. $11, 7 more on the way. We're gonna be at 18. All right, we need 2 more of them. These guys, there's 2 on the way. That's fine. So yeah, it's really just about having enough soil. There we go. And I'm not sure where those 2 that are on the way are stuck, but they are on the way. Yeah, 2 of those on the way, and 2 of those on the way. Okay. What else might I need for this build? I've got over 100 of every inserter. That's fine. Let's think about our inputs and think about how many train stations we're going to need. We're actually not going to do that recipe. Oops. Oh, I didn't even account for needing to make Auog pups when I did this, did I? Oops. So let's get the Auog pups as well. Oh yeah, and those are going to use a ton of... And if I switch this to the recipe that uses water barrels... Not water barrels, Auog food. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna need another 10 of these machines doing... There we go. Oof, that's a lot of moss. Is that really my best moss recipe right now? Yes. The answer is yes. Maybe I don't want to build at this scale then. Alright, but this is using 20 machines and giving them food. So if we scale this to like 10 machines, and then still a lot of flora collectors. Yeah, that is more than one water barreler worth of... You know what? Let's do this. One water barreler. There we go. So that's 10 of these, 6 of these, exactly 25 moss farms. But if we're going to start with building to this scale... Oh, wow. Okay, so the recipe that takes food... Did I see right that we're actually going to be using a lot fewer paddocks if we do that at this scale? Which I guess makes sense. And really, that's all it's going to do at this scale, isn't it, right? Because we're going to have so many reproductive complexes. So yeah, this comes out at 0.7 a second. Version width... Oh, no. Okay. It is worth... We make... Yeah, slightly more. Whatever that is. 20% more. But it's also half the number of Auog paddocks and 2 more reproductive complexes, which is weird to build for. So yeah, this uses a lot less space to use this recipe. And this is, again, this is scaled to 1 barreling machine, which, like, if I wanted to scale for, here we go, for having, like, 20 paddocks, then we scale that up to 2 barreling machines. But otherwise, with the current system, Augs, here we go, fill water barrel 1 here. So yeah, we'll make the 20 of them. This is 19. I'll make it 20. 20 of those, 4 of these, and only the 1 barreling machine. But we'll leave the ghosts to upgrade to 2 barreling machines and to switch to this recipe, which is still 20 of these. We'll need a bunch more reproductive complexes. Okay. This is fine. I do need to figure out, because this is a lot of inputs. And that's also a lot of moss to get up to this scale. So maybe this is what we want to go for. This is the build for now. We're going to make 0.7 a second. And then when we upgrade to Auog food, if we need to, again, we'll need to drop in a bunch more reproductive complexes and things like that. But okay, so we need 10 flora collectors and a few reproductive complexes that I forgot to put on my shopping list. And 25 moss farms, which we're going to call 26. How many are en route? 8. Perfect. These guys en route. These guys en route. Beautiful. So yeah, this should be... Again, ideally I want to leave this such that it is upgradable to the next to use Auog food if I so desire. Let's see. What can I get rid of while I'm waiting around? Oh, there we go. There's a bunch of those guys. There's one of them. Hopefully the other one's not too far. They tend to get sort of redirected, of course, to different charging stations. So sometimes they can take a long time, much longer to get to me than some of the other ones do, because they get forced to a further away charging station. I should put some extra charging stations through this, like, high traffic area. That would help with some of those types of issues, probably. Oh, one left, really? I hate it when this happens. It's like, come on. I know you can find me. That it right there? There it is. There we go. That's everything. Oh, and I also want to grab... That is not going to be enough barrels. I should have left this uncapped, so I can grab, like, thousands of barrels at a time when I need them. Alright, let's go. We're going to drop off these filled water barrels and a few of the empty barrels at the manure farm, and then, actually, let's check how we're doing with some of this stuff. Have we made Zogna yet? We have not. Have we made... we probably just still haven't quite gotten to a full load of Petri dishes. You are not making glass, and glass is not being made because we don't have pure sand. Pure sand is currently being picked up. Okay, that's fine. What's left to do here? That research, mining productivity. I didn't realize I still had a couple of mining productivities left. Oil distillation that I apparently never grabbed. We've got chromium processing already. Moondrop stage 2. And then a lot of what's left after that, it looks like, is turds that I'm going to have to start doing all the research on and decide which ones I actually want to take. I have not really looked through the Pyanodon's book to figure out which turds are the worthwhile ones, so... Ooh, bitumen seep there. I will have to work around that with whatever I do as far as my builds through here. Because I'll need to eventually probably claim that. Alright. Yeah, I know bots. Actually, no, let's not do that build there. Let's keep going straight. Because I saw there's some, yeah, native flora here. And we're going to need that, obviously, as an input. There we go. Because, yeah, we need a bunch of flora. So, oops. Just try to get that, you know, decent. There we go. Did I run out of... No, I still have plenty of landfill. The bots are just being slow. And am I out of signals? I am out of signals. Okay. That's not as big of a deal through this section. And I'm sure I'll have to go back up to base at least once. So I'm not too worried about it. I could probably make a bunch myself. I could. But again, I'm not too worried about it, at least initially. All right, so let's get our Auog paddocks down, like here. I don't know. What are you, Niobium ore? I probably don't care about you. Turn back on trash. Oh, I forgot to grab the Auog modules. Yep, we're definitely going to have to... Alright, and then inputs, we're going to have our belt there, which is going to be moss and water barrels. And then the Auog pups, I need to figure out how I actually want to feed those in, because we need an extra belt, basically. We need 3 belts of inputs if we actually want to build this, like, fully. Which could mean building like this, with 2 belts in like that. Then another belt in like... that. And that would be our overall input. Yeah. And then on this side, it would be exactly the same as we had up above, which is an output and an input. And this would bring in the flora, which would be circulating on the outside of the sushi belt, and the would output the Auog pups and the barrels. So our module is that. All we need now is power. Output priority left is native flora, and that'll loop here back down. Apparently I faced this whole thing the wrong direction. There we go. Because, yeah, this is the output belt, as well as being the sushi belt here. Input, we can bring down this belt. And that just sideloads this whole thing for the native flora, which is fine. Cool. So then our 3 input belts here, one of them is going to be unused for now. One of them is going to be... I forgot to grab the barreling machine, didn't I? Fortunately, I can make one. Actually, it needs to be 2 of them, right? And then the other side of that input is going to be... go. This is going to be empty barrels in. That needs to be one of the things we filter out here. Empty barrels. You know, I wonder, looking at what goes into making Auog pups here, because I hadn't swapped this over to the right. We're gonna just set fixed building count of 20 here. So yeah, the Auog pups are still gonna need the food, the water barrels, the moss. They apparently don't need the sap. And then they output the pups. So I think what I'm gonna do is... we actually want this to go the other direction. And what that means is we're actually going to feed in the pups from this end. And if we take our reproductive complex, 4 of them, we're going to have basically the same Hey, welcome, new chatter. How's it going? Pierre Cambron. Sorry, my French is atrocious. The pie buildings? Yeah, they are huge. How did I manage to copy that wrong? Oh, because I accidentally cut something instead of copying earlier. That's how I screwed it up. Okay. All right, and each of these is going to make pups. Yeah, I've used sushi belts in some of my animal builds, and I'm not using them in other builds. It's like up here, if I find... Where's my Vrox? Nope, not that one. These guys? Yeah. Like, Vrox are on a sushi belt, and they work reasonably well. Did I end up using a sushi belt for these guys? No, these were all straight belts for the cotton guts. So I've mixed and matched. It kind of depends on how many inputs there are and kind of how each animal seems like it works. All right, in theory... Yeah. In general, you can get away with sushi belting. I've had some issues with a couple of things, but for the most part, you don't have so much volume that it becomes an issue. We're not connected because I never finished building this stretch of rail. Although what I should do... just to be on the safe side, is build a bypass power connection. I don't like having everything connected just one way. Okay. That looks fine. That's fine. This will be water into the barreling machine. Keep meaning to try more sushi belting. It's so much easier with the new like belt read hold system. If I can find my Vrox again. So like each of the input item types I just have hooked up with a circuit condition, and each of these is set to read hold all belts. And then the input is just side loading with like, how much of this do I want on the sushi belt? And it all just kind of loads in. It's super easy. Okay. This needs water. Do I have water nearby? Maybe. Sure. I think the way to make it work before the new mechanics was to cry. And also something latches counters. I was never that good at circuit conditions, to be honest, but... Alright, so that's gonna be that. The other side of this belt coming in here will need to be the moss to feed these guys. This belt is going to be unused in the short term because this is for when I upgrade to Auog food, if I upgrade. So that one can just sit where it is. And then otherwise, I think we just basically need to build the moss and this area is done. And then the train stations, of course, and get all the decay byproducts routed correctly and all the fun parts. But yeah, all right. It is ad break o'clock. Since I know I've got at least one new person in here, Twitch is going to run ads in some capacity, no matter what. I have it set up to do an ad break once an hour, so there's no pre-rolls, and so ads don't happen when I'm doing anything interesting. So I'm going to take a few minute break while the ads run, get myself some more water and some more tea, and when I come back, we'll finish up this Auog build. See everybody in just a few minutes. All right. Hello, YouTube and Twitch Turbo Gang. And Grim, who doesn't get ads for other reasons. Another minute or so on the official ad break. I know sometimes Twitch ends ads early. So I'm going to get going on cleaning up some more of this. So we've got another splitter here. We're going to have an output for the actual Augs. Oh, I'm out of belts. How am I out of belts? I had 1,000 belts before I came down to do this build. And then this is going to have fluorospalanin and potentially, if things are really backed up, biomass on it. And the way I've been dealing with that is that will come into a warehouse here. Just a couple of inserters. And then we'll have a filtered output for just biomass. Welcome back from the ad break, everyone who saw ads. I appreciate you sticking around. Like I said, Twitch is going to run ads no matter what, but I try to make sure that they at least run at a time when you're not going to miss anything. This is a duplicate of what I've already built, so there's nothing interesting here. I think all that's left to build here is the moss farm aspect, and then I need to, and I forgot to grab some buildings for the moss farm part, of course. And then we just have to hook up the train stations. So I'm going to run back to base. I'm going to grab another 1,000 belts because I went through them fast. And then we'll get this all set up. Yeah, let's head back up. While we're going, actually, let's stop to take a quick look. We have not done a delivery of... I've not done a delivery yet of Petri dish. Oh, there it is. Cool. So that should plug in, and that will turn on wherever I built Zogna. Here. Oh, it already ran once. Cool. I didn't even realize. Does that mean that this has run? No. So it didn't make enough in one batch of Zogna to be a train load? Yeah, we only made like 17,000 of it. Okay. That's fine. The second batch should, this is what I care about. Yeah, that is set to 3. That'll be okay here. So once the second batch runs, once Petri dishes show up again, we should get enough of the Zogna bacteria, and that will turn on this build, which will make urea, and then we should start making fertilizer. Okay. Back up to collect the things that I need to collect. I forgot to grab the soil extractors and the washers to make the muddy sludge for the moss. Plus I need more belts. But hopefully that is all that we will need coming up here. And then how much of this do I actually need? Let's see, that looks like 2 soil extractors and 2 washers. Okay. And also more moss farms because I did my math wrong. Oh wait, no. No. That's fine. Yeah, 26 is right. So I do just need the soil extractors, the washers, and a lot of belts. All on the way. Okay. And is there anything else I can clear out? Oh, I want to grab more of these as well. Because we're going to need them for both of these builds. The current Auog build is going to need them, and then I think because I switched the other Auog away from Sushi Belt, it is likely to also need a few more barrels. What else can I grab? Oh, I needed more rail signals. And I'll grab some more of these just to be on the safe side, but I don't think I need them. Yeah, so as soon as the bots get here with the other soil extractor and these washers, we will be good to go. I mean, I could just craft them and move on with my life. Maybe I'll just do that. All right. Another washer, another soil extractor. Okay. So I think... hopefully that's all I need. I'm going to drop off some more of these empty barrels at the... That's a lot of bots? Yeah, how many do I have now? 2,800? Anytime there's 0 available bots, it adds a new one. So they're always busy. I need more chargers up in the area where they are actually busy. I was saying this earlier in the stream, but like they come all the way down here to charge sometimes, and that's way out of the way. I don't know where those guys think they're going. Oh, they probably tried to do a straight line like that or something. Anyway, the when the Balt Mall is busy, there will be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of item requests in flight at a time. Or when I roll in with a, you know, full trash slot inventory. But let's see, did we get a second batch of Zogna yet? There we go. We did get a second batch of Petri dishes to Zogna. That's running. That's running. 23. So when this hits 25, it should issue the request. Okay. I'll check on that in a few more minutes and make sure everything's running the way I want it to. So yeah, here I wanted to add few more barrels to the loop. Not that it really matters, but as soon as there's demand, this will drain and these will all fill up anyway. And most of these, well, yeah, most of these are full on empty barrels, but they'll figure themselves out. And then I'm still going to have to make one more pass, I think, along this rail for it to be fully connected. But up here, let's get our moss farms going. This recipe. So muddy sludge and CO2 in on that side. That's fine. And then output, well, what's our ratios here? 20 stone in, 16 moss out. But per second, they're both slow. Okay. So it doesn't really matter which side is the input and which side is the output, is what I'm hearing. So pretty much this, oh, shoot. I didn't realize I was that low on undergrounds. I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Now, this is the output. So this goes right up to here. I should have actually done these the opposite way, shouldn't I? This is the output. And this is the input. And this is just to avoid an underground, basically, by putting the output on what's already the inside side of the belt. Through here. That goes up there, and then stone comes in on the bottom. Stone is a grand total of 7 a second. That'll be fine with just one train request, no problem. Clear some of these trees. All right, and then the other thing we're going to need is we're going to need the muddy sludge and CO2. The muddy sludge is 2 soil extractors into 2 soil washers. Nice and easy. Where do I want to do that? Let's do that like here. Muddy sludge. There. And then if we take the 2 soil extractors, Okay. That looks good to me there. Other than needing power and... All right. These guys are going to want power. Beautiful. So that'll be moss, and these are all outputting onto, yes, the right side of the belt, so that these guys can output to the left side of the belt. Perfect. Think... Let's, get that started. On this side, what am I missing? I'm just missing power, all right. I'm running out of everything here. Okay. Let's... What else are we missing as inputs to this? We need to bring in CO2, and we need to bring in the stone. So let's get those stations set up and set up as requests. Solid drop-off. And a fluid drop-off. Oh, and I'm out of train stations too? Shoot. I wasn't paying attention to anything I needed, was I? Carbon dioxide, we want a tank full of that. Down here, we're gonna want stone. And we want a warehouse full of it. All right, that'll be stone. And this will be carbon dioxide. And then on the outputs, what are we going to have? We're going to have one for the Augs themselves and one for biomass. Okay. That is easy enough. So that is a solid pickup. I mean, we'll do them up at the top. We may as well. Here. Here. One of these is going to be... that, and then this will come right through here. Not that we should ever have that much biomass coming out of this all at once, but... And then this needs a combinator here, because this is going to be a byproduct. That's a high priority output. All right, that should be... Oh, I need to actually hook up the CO2. And then I think we're good. All right, that'll be the CO2 out. This is still... Yeah, there's a lot of... Oh! This needs a little bit of adjustment. Yep. So these need to be filtered to just be Auog pups. And then on the top of this, we want everything but Auog pups. And then that needs to be... how do I do this? Merged in with this belt. Which I guess I would just do like that. I think that should do what I want, because that'll be on... Yeah, it'll be on the same side of the belt as this. So this will push out any empty barrels and any spoilage through here. Okay, so I need to go grab all the Auog modules that I'm going to need for this, because I forgot to grab those. I need a bunch of pipes, because currently I'm out of pipes. I need to grab this other barreling machine. Oh, and I need moss modules, too. I forgot to grab that. How many moss modules do I need? Okay. Well, actually, no, I did. 26 of these buildings times 15... 390. We want 390 moss. Cool. And then I know where my Auog modules are being stashed. I will pick up a bunch of pipes up at base. I will pick up some underground. I will pick up power poles. And then we should be able to get that little factory up and running. Making the Augs for me. You want... What are you requesting? Wood? Wood. Oh, have we gotten... Oh, look at that. We've got a train full of urea. Oh, those ones don't need decay priority. These ones do. Yeah. I was right about something. Okay. Hi, Kyron. Welcome in. Belts, pipes. Oh, let's grab the Auog modules from where they're being made. Wherever that is. Here we go. Absolutely. That is the correct amount of pie to have in your life. Hey, first fertilizer! That means that, like, all the factories that I built last week worked. I didn't realize that fertilizer was worthy of a milestone, but I guess it is used for, like, a lot of the upgraded PyAL plants. So, sure, it's a milestone. Will I need explosives? It looks like eventually yes. May as well just enqueue it. There was something... Oh, I needed another barreling machine. Just one. Oh, really? All right, never mind then. I will build it myself. Let's see how much we actually made. I somehow doubt it's that much at the beginning, but not that. That's asphalt. This it? I don't know where anything is in this ridiculous base. No, that's asphalt again. Is this? Nope. How much do I have left of Pi 2 at this point? Not that much. Let's head over to Yafsi and we can talk about it. Somewhere in here. Here we go. Unified Science. So this is a disaster. This is me trying to go through, like, what's needed where. But if we look at Pi Science 2, what I'm working on today, this Auog build, is so that I have more blood, so that I can start to make artificial blood for the Corlex. Corlex are the big animal that I'm missing for Pi Science 2. After that, yeah, artificial blood is needed here as well. I still haven't done the sea sponges, which didn't look, hopefully aren't too difficult. I haven't done... Let's see, Corlex will give us Corlex milk. I haven't done primers. I don't know what those are going to look like. Those aren't too bad. Yeah, so it's like sea sponges and xyphos are going to be a couple of the bigger things. The remaining AL things. Zipper eggs. I haven't looked at zippers yet. So I think it's mostly the AL things, but I've got bees done, Arcods. We're working towards Corlex, pretty close, and then yeah, it's pretty much just the invertebrates after Corlex, after we get Corlex and Corlex milk going. And then, you know, it's a question of, are there other bits and pieces that I never made on rails that we have to get, you know, intermediate setup, you know, stone wool I don't have running yet, but this doesn't look like it's too bad to make, right? So it's a matter of just continuing to go through this horrible tab and being like, all right, I need so many per second bees, I need so many per second milk. But it's close. And by close, you know, at the rate that I'm going through things, you know, whatever, call it 10 hours a week. It's probably usually closer to 11, but call it 10 hours a week on average. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another, like, month out, realistically, but it could be sooner. Just because we're also rebuilding the whole base on Rails as we go, right? So I'm going to keep finding stuff that I need to go on side quest. Close in Pi is 20 hours away, yeah. But I think a lot of how long it takes is a matter of, like, how much can I borrow from the existing base versus how much do I have to keep rebuilding on Rails, etc., etc. And that's a complicated question. Like, I never even had... Yeah, the rail transition... And I'm... In theory, I'm trying to just build what I need for PySci 2, and then the prerequisites for those things on Rails. I'm not, like, actively, intentionally rebuilding old things. But it just sort of happens that you have to rebuild a lot of what you already had to get PySci 2 going. And I am going to want to, after that, we are going to focus a little bit on rebuilding what we built before, because I'm going for a slightly bigger scale for some aspects of it. Not that I really need the extra science per minute, it's just the scale that seemed to make the most sense based off the speeds of the different science packs. But that means we're going to need a little bit more PySci 1, we're going to need a little bit more LogiSci, we're going to need a little bit more of everything. But all of that is kind of built into the prerequisites of PySci 2, as it turns out, so... Oh, I didn't grab... Oh, boy. Most of the cost is infrastructure, yeah, for sure. That is very, very true. Alright, this should be requesting CO2 now. This is requesting stone. Yes, yes, yes. So that'll turn all of this on when it can. Oh, I forgot to get my moss modules. Oops. Didn't even think about that. I'll grab those from somewhere. Train cannot find path. That probably means that it wants to come down here, and this rail's not done yet. Alright, hopefully that's it as far as, yep, train pathing issues. That error went away. Perfect. Okay, I need a couple more stations, and I need circuit boards for those, so I'm gonna have to go grab circuits. I forgot to do those when I was up top. There we go. Oh. Yeah, these are all inputs. Oops. This definitely could take more barrels. I put like 2,000 in there. It looks like it could take another few hundred easy. Stone is just gonna have to come in. That will be a thing eventually. All right. In theory, there is a train coming down here. Is that it? That's solids. What's going on here? Oh, filters. Okay. Let's fix this station. This is not a super high throughput station, so we can drop the train limit back to 1. So this doesn't happen. What else do I want to be working on? I need more radars. And I'm going to need a couple more of those to get coverage over here. That's fine. We have plenty of room to work. I built this way further west than I... Oh, right, because I was building it around the native flora patch. And that's fine. So I think I need to go grab the circuit boards that I need for the last couple of stations, and it would be nice to have a few more radars, which are also circuit boards. Okay. That's fine. And then that will be, I think, everything for the Augs. And then I'll need to start thinking about setting up the sort of centralized animal processing, which is going to have heaps of output stations. So we're going to have to figure that out. Let's see. I want to be going to... Circuits are over here. I don't have to go all the way back to the mall for circuits, fortunately. I can grab them from the circuit build directly. Let's build a couple more radars. Let's build... all the train stations and everything we need. How are bees doing? Oh, look at all those queens. I have a whole 5 queens, plus 1 in output, plus 1 in a recipe, which is currently Schrodinger's queen, but that's okay. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4 here. That's like 10 queens. Double-digit queens. Love to see it. What is going on here? We don't have tall oil. Yeah, we don't have tall oil. All right. Tall oil comes right now from naphtha. I'm doing like the stupidest recipe because it was intended to be... Yeah. Oh, interesting. We have all this natural gas. So this isn't running, so there's no naphtha. That's fine, I think. Yeah, natural gas is pretty full here, but this is going to keep making natural gas barrels. Like, all the processing up here can keep running if we're not making bitumen. Tall oil. Yep. I have no idea what that is in the real world and how that works with the way oil is processed and refined. But it's definitely a thing in Pi. Okay. Let's go put down the rest of these radars so I can actually see the bottom of my base. And then I think this build is done and it can just start running. And I need to go to, like I was saying, working on centralized animal processing. But yeah, tall oil is an input to the bees because I need to make this filled comb. Interesting. Pulping softwoods. So why can we make it from processing natural gas? Regardless, I'm making it the stupid way. Because at the time I didn't have a use for naphtha. Oh, liquid rosin. Interesting. But now I have other uses for naphtha, and I should really switch to getting tall oil from tar processing. Because I think I can do like light oil into... No, there's this recipe, which may or may not be terrible. There's this recipe that does tar into a bunch of stuff. There's this that gives a little bit of it, but I don't make that much fiberboard. And then I guess there's a better... Yeah. This is the naphtha to tall oil that I'm using right now. I just don't make enough naphtha to keep up with the demand. Because I also need naphtha down here for mining rare earths. And there might be one other thing that uses it at this point. I don't remember for sure. All right, there we go. That should... No? Oh, nope. Thought I had that there. So yeah, this is just going to keep requesting stone until its buffer is full. That's fine. These guys... Oh, these need modules. That's right. I forgot that I needed to find moss for those. Other than that, what do these guys want? They're pups, of course, and water barrels. These guys should have put in water barrels at least. All right. Oh, these also need native flora as an input. Okay, I'm an idiot. Shocking no one. Let's do this then. This is all just part of the same sushi belt now. Because this is the native flora in on this sushi belt. Yeah. And then they need moss, which I need to grab the moss modules for. Which I should be able to grab from someplace that I'm currently making moss. Maybe? Yeah, at least a few from there. If I can find someplace that we're just kind of like backed up on moss. Yeah, here we go. These should all have heaps of moss in them. And then centralized animal processing is going to be big in terms of the number of, like, train stations that it needs, because we're going to need to bring in a bunch of different kinds of animals and process them for all of their different purposes, and have outputs for every... outputs for every animal output. So that's not just meat and brains and guts, but also, you know, the Arcod venom and formic acid and like all of the things that are specific to specific animals are also all going to need their own stations. And I want to make sure that I leave enough room that it can be reasonably, if not entirely future-proofed, at least future... I want to plan to have, you know, another... At least another, like, half dozen animal products floating around over there. It's kind of the thought process, right? I don't know if that's the correct thought process to have or not, but it is the thought process. Okay, so these are all going to turn themselves on. These all need... Well, several of them don't even have water barrels yet, but that's okay. Yeah, this does need a bunch more water barrels in the loop. That's fine. And then... I think this is good to go, other than needing that. And actually, let's just do like that. All right, I think this build is done. I'm going to call it done. I'll check on it later. Oops. And see where it's at, if it's actually running. But for now, let's call it done. All right, as far as animal processing goes, it looks like we've got pretty big open space down here. So I'm inclined to say that that's where we should be trying to do this. So if I were to grab a couple of trumpets... this is going to end up with provider chests for pretty much everything. And, oh, I'm out of rails. Cool. So we'll have to go back up and grab that. But... and that is absolutely a ton of rail, but this is absolutely a going to be a major siding or set of sidings. Again, we're going to have drop-offs for almost every type of animal. We're going to have pickups for all of the common animal parts, plus all of the unique animal parts. So we've got space here for, you know, I think like 20-something stations, which is huge. It's way more than we should ever actually need. And then we're just going to have a collection of, you know, for every animal type, a few. I could try to use circuits and change which of our rendering recipes we're using, but that sounds like work. And I have plenty of empty space down here to do the build, so I think we can just have, you know, a couple of, whatever they're called, slaughterhouses. For each. Now, maybe I do want to try to choose the recipe. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. But the idea will be that certain animals will be triggered to be rendered depending on what we need. So we built Augs first because Augs give the most blood per Aug, right? As a ratio to all the other parts. Made a recipe swapping setup for atomizing extra byproducts. Works pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, I need to play more with recipe setting as a 2.0 feature. I haven't done much with it. All right. Plenty of rails. We're going to need big power poles. There's medium power poles, which I also want more of. Are large power poles up here because they use something weird? Yes. And we don't have many. We're out of niobium plates. Are we out of niobium plates because I keep plugging my ears and just adding more storage for byproducts to my niobium build and it keeps filling up anyway? Yes. Am I going to do it again? Absolutely. All right. Damn it, past me. Also, screw future me. Yep, exactly. Ugh. This is such a bare minimum build, and routing this stuff out is kind of a pain just from where it is to where I have uses for stone and gravel on the belt base. And at some point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the rail base up and around. We're going to take iron as well, and at that point we'll decommission this niobium, and we'll put a niobium stop, and I'll put niobium on rails. Until then, I'm going to keep kicking this can down the road. I don't think it's worth putting too much effort into, honestly. I have not even started playing with niobium pipes yet. I'm sure that they would help some of my builds, but especially since I have the pipe weaving option enabled. But it just has not been a priority for me to play with. Alright, Twitch is telling me that it is ad o'clock again. So as always, I'm going to step away for a few minutes while Twitch runs the ad. I guess I'm going to let the bots deal with my inventory disaster or something. And then when we come back, we're going to start thinking about, well, one, whatever's wrong with this stuck train, and two, centralized animal management. So I'll see everyone in just a few minutes. Welcome back. We have a broken train. Cannot find path to destination. That is fortunate. Where does Ash go? Ash goes into... here. Is this the station that it wants to go to? Yes. How can it not route to this? Oh, this isn't actually connected. Oops. Okay. Yep, that's broken. I'll have to go fix that. And then we can head down to... Hopefully I have enough rails. Let's grab a few more rails. And then we'll head down to the... where I was starting to think about central animal management. And we will get some of that going. Oh, which does mean that I need... Here, let's go grab this and let's get some number of slaughterhouses made first. Let's see. Oh, my inventory's... And glass up here. Of course, inventory's full. Thank you. There we go. Got like half a dozen of those now. Alright, let's go fix the train stop for... the ash coming off of the depot, since that... It's apparently the first time that a train has tried to pick up ash from the depot since I redid that. Wait, where does it go? Down south from here. Yeah. And then... Oh, while I'm here, is this fully emptied out? It is, yeah. All right. And then you... That looks good. All right, that should work. This is all a little bit funky because this depot predates my rail grid, among other things, but... And then this train that it keeps saying is stuck is almost certainly delivering ash. Yeah. Because ash stacks to 1,000, it's always going to be... It's always going to think the train is stuck at some point because it just takes so long for them to load and unload. And that is unfortunate, but expected. Oh, these need more outserters. Okay. Let's go fix that then. And then head down and start working on rendering Augs. All right, let's do like that. No, just do them like that. There we go. And then 2 inputs. And 2 outputs. And then I think we only need 1 input there. Yep, that looks like it's keeping up fine. Cool. That's the strain still. Yeah. So that'll be lots of fertilizer. Okay. We've already achieved oh yeah. That is indeed more than half a belt of fertilizer. Cool. And this is just out of biomass. And at some point, it'll get a delivery of biomass, I guess. From somewhere. I've got biomass as byproduct in lots of places now, so... And that's fine. The fertilizer is going to be used in fairly low quantities, at least early on, and it is mostly designed as a sink for biocrud and biomass, so... I'm okay with it not being... hugely... Yeah, there's very little in terms of water barrels on this belt. And, like, there's lots more in the loop that'll run when this loop... Oh! I didn't realize this was broken. Shoot. Stop, stop, stop. I'm going to let this fix itself. And then we're going to see how many more barrels we need to put in the loop. That's bad. I'm glad I caught that. That this was the wrong direction. Because, yeah, this is going to be... Alright, while that's going, let's go check on the other build. This also needs more of those, which I knew. Oh, I never put in, oops, these inserters. And they actually need 2. Maybe even 3. I'll check in a moment if that's keeping up. And down at this end... drop a bunch more barrels into the loop. Because ideally I want to see this whole belt backed up on water barrels. I would feel much more comfortable with that. Alright, this looks like it's doing fine. With just 2 inserters. Yeah. So we're good there. Even though it's 1.3 items. I think with the bigger buildings you can get away with fewer inserters sometimes, because they don't have to swing as far before they're technically overlapping the building. I think is how it works. Although I don't know for sure. So yeah, these should now be turning on. Yep, there we go. Throw all those in at this loop. I do need to add more to this as well, but like I said, we'll see now that it's running properly, because I hadn't realized it was backed up. We'll see how many more I actually need to add to the loop. Because what you don't want is it to be stuck like this, and this is stuck like this because these weren't being processed correctly. Alright, it does look like it's keeping up, though. As these, like, drain themselves, and... Because, yeah, we're gonna keep getting to, like, ones that are freshly stalled, that it'll have to drain further. So, we'll see how many more we need to add there. Okay, so let's drop down. A few solid drop-off stations. These are all going to be for requesting different animals, right? And then we'll be able to pull from each of these whatever we need for whatever's currently being processed. So for now, the only thing that we need to set up is Augs. And I can change the request thresholds for these, of course, but I think, like, realistically, pushing out stacks and stacks of them is gonna be just fine. So, you know, if we look at our Vroks and our Ulrichs, and I know it's been tens of hours since I built these, but they are, you know, fully saturated. So I'm not too worried about other things also getting fully saturated. So this is going to pull in those. We'll filter. And we'll bring out up to half a belt. And in theory, with that, I can take 4 different animals in each one of these drop stations, which I think should be plenty. I hope is plenty. And then, yeah, from this belt, I mean, I made half a dozen of these. I don't know how many I'm actually going to want. But if we do full render Augs, oh, I need to cage them. Right. That'll end up on that side. Yeah, that's right. So cages will just cycle around, and the Augs will go in alongside the cages. Beautiful. One of these machines can do up to 2 a second, which is more than enough, honestly. I don't even need this much of any of this, do I, then? Like, we need, like, 1 of each of these. Okay. So maybe we could even do more then, and actually, let's just do... There we go. This is better. Wait, what am I doing? A whole train station for 1 machine. No, I just haven't built the rest of the machines yet. Although certainly I have some places where 1 machine has that much bandwidth. I'd have to find them, though. Okay, this is going to output the caged thingies, and then... This will render Augs. Okay. And each of these pulls in a very small number per second. All right, yeah, 6 times 0.03 is like 0.18 augs, which is not a lot, but it's a lot of blood, and that's all that I need from the augs, is their blood. Yeah, exactly. My landfill is, where is my landfill? This? Well, this will make landfill until it's full of landfill and then switch to concrete, but also I think there's enough demand for stone that it doesn't run. Alright. So, we have just one inserter's worth. That's fine. These inserters need to all be actually on... Eh? There we go. Let's get all of this connected. Because these inserters need to run depending on what is currently available in our outputs, and in this case, it's gonna be, enabled when we have not enough blood. So whatever the threshold for blood is, I want to say it's 120,000. And then we'll have a pickup station. I can actually figure out what this can handle. Fluid pickup station. Each of these is... Each of these is 40 KL. Okay, so it should have been 240, not 120, because there's 6 of those. Alright, so these guys will just keep running until this is full of blood. You know, I changed my mind. Let's be smarter about this, and let's instead do... We will look for the Auog signal being at least 1. And that way I can use decider combinators, and I can do more complex things if I need to, with deciding how I want to do my different signals. But if I take a decider... right here. I'll put it up at this end, actually. And... input. And I say if blood is less than 240,000, then we output the Auog signal. There we go. That, actually, let's do that on red. That way we can't accidentally mix and match our signals. Because we're going to have them crisscrossing. Like, this station is going to put Augs on green because it needs to be requesting Augs, right? So, we're using red instead so that don't accidentally get any crossed signals. And let's get rid of... All right. So yeah, these guys are still looking for Augs greater than or equal to 1. And this combinator will output Augs when blood is low. And since blood is currently low, I should just need to power it. Sorry, 1. There we go. So that outputs Augs. So these are enabled, right? Because we have that signal on red. Beautiful. Yeah. And then that way, if any other output item wants to make Augs one of the things that it can request, it can do that. And the Aug slaughter will turn on automatically. Okay. Blood needs to just be looped right on through. And pumped in. All right. And I think if I move this down a little bit lower... yeah. So I need some empty cages. Can I make some? Not enough. I'm gonna need hundreds and hundreds of cages. But... oh, apparently I had some Augs in my inventory. That's funny. Alright, well, I wasn't really ready for this to run. I thought I was just going to drop the cages in there. Regardless, these are going to output a bunch of stuff. Quarter plus... I don't know. Probably 1 is enough. And then output, first things first, is going to be the cages. And then all of the meat products will need to get sent over. Let's clear that. Run that under there. So we're going to have what? Guts and like 6 different things already. Excellent. Love to see it. But this is why we built so much space for stations. Because we knew we were going to have a lot of things to put in. And then we're also going to have to deal with the things that spoil and taking that spoilage and forwarding it onto the next, you know, thing. So we're going to have... You know, if I take and run down here... We're going to have 3 of these on this side. And if we start with, like, meat and brains and guts. These are all going to turn into jerky, so I'm going to have some overflow from each of these, where if I take a jerky output and then feed that down to one more station that's going to just be jerky, right? So that's kind of, in theory, how this whole thing is going to work. And guts. And then on the other side, we're still going to have to deal with skin and bones and lard. And then this will be a little bit of a buffer in case there's anything that I missed. I don't think I did. I think everything... but obviously we're going to have other animals that are going to end up in the system, and they will have other outputs, and I want to make sure that I am prepared to split those off as needed. So if I miss anything, it'll end up at the end here, and I'll be able to see the system backed up on it. Yeah, and then each of these is going to need their spoilage output. I'm not going to do that right now. Then where's blood? Definitely should have put some blood into some of these tanks. What? Okay, I think these do have blood in them. It's just such a small amount that it's showing as 0. And that's fine. And then outputs of these guys. Jerky. There, that down. That'll be the same on each. Except down here we're not. I'm not too worried about having to merge these versus just letting them overlap. Hopefully there won't be that much random stuff actually spoiling. The last of this will come down here. All right, that'll be jerky, and then this side, it will be biocrud. There we go. Biocrud is already has uses on rails. Jerky doesn't, so I will need to keep an eye on this over time. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a buffer of cages for this, because 4 is not enough to keep this loop saturated. I'm going to need to finish building all of these stations, and that means that I'm going to need a whole bunch of blue inserters, probably a bunch of signals. Well, actually, let's collect some of these signals that we don't need. How are we doing on rails? We still have a few hundred rails. I think we'll have enough rails. So I think it's just grabbing the stuff we need to finish the stations, and then we'll be able to get this pretty well wrapped up. Yeah, that all looks good. Cool. Oh, and then on the outputs of these, we're also going to want... Yeah. This is going to be the same jerky here. There we go. Okay. There we go. That way this output belt gets properly purged as necessary of any biocrud. And then the other thing is all of these need to be decay priority. What did I do? Oh. And the other one that decays is... Oh, already set. Okay. Alright, so I'm missing, besides like 100... Yeah. Tons of blue inserters are missing. That is going to be expensive, and hopefully they got built in the background. Up here we should have... We're actually getting close to being able to do our first delivery of Augs to slaughter, which is cool. This looks like it still needs maybe a few more empty barrels in the loop, and I'm gonna bet the other one does as well, where we're making manure. Yeah, this still needs some more in the loop. I mean, it seems like there's enough that the system is running. I'm just more comfortable if it's backed up properly. I like seeing my full belts. All right, so let's head up to base and let's grab all of those things that we need, and let's grab the materials we need to make, I don't know, at least a couple of 100 cages. And then once that is running, and once we start slaughtering the Augs with some regularity, that will be the blood that we need available for albumin, which is all part of artificial blood. Everything else that's on this list, I think, is also all the prerequisites for artificial blood. I seem to recall that was my intent when I put that list together. Oops, too far north. Here we go. All right, what do I need for cages? I need a bunch of iron. All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What? We have no hot air. Yeah, it's definitely stopped. Whoa. Okay. That's funny. It's unfortunate, because it means that I still don't have the fast inserters that I need. but it's funny. Alright, let's see if we can get this turned back on. The issue... We can uncap this for one thing. It looks like zinc plates are also doing fine. Yeah. All of our zinc plates are getting looped around into whatever small amount of activated carbon I'm using for whatever this is. That's fine. And then, yeah, we just have the iron, the copper, and the aluminum here. And if this was done on rails, like, relatively freshly... Aluminium ore, I would have different ways of dealing with it. Namely, I wouldn't have let it all build up in the first place. But, that being said, there's power. Let's see if we can at least, again, we're gonna make this a future problem. And hopefully that's all it's gonna take to get this making hot air again. Although it's going to take a little while for iron up here to turn... Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe it'll turn right back on. Alright, well, good to see. But usually when I lose iron, the maul is useless for a little while, depending on how long ago I lost it. It does look like I may have caught it early-ish. Like, this hasn't fully drained... Yeah. Not as early as I would have liked to catch it, that's for sure. But it is earlier. But still, we don't have any blue inserters. Which means that we cannot build anything. So that's not ideal. We might still have barrels? Barrels. That I can put into both... Alright, this does still say that there's a bunch of blue inserters on the way, so maybe I had some in storage or something. It's not enough, though, so we're going to have to come back here. But in the short term, we've got warehouses, we have some inserters, we've got a bunch of empty barrels. So I think we should be able to at least throw another, like, few hundred barrels into... each of these 2 loops just to get them a little closer to saturated. As far as making a bunch of cages right now goes, I mean, I don't think we have the iron for that at the moment. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yep, okay. We're going to have to come back to base later then, unfortunately. So let's do what we can back down where we were. Let's get this stuff put down, and then we'll flip back to Yafsi while the mall tries to recover itself. And we can try to figure out the next steps working towards artificial blood. Yeah, that's not backed up very far at all, is it? Let's just throw all those in. If that's a few too many, then I'll pull them out and bring them over to the other loop. But I suspect that it will not be too many at all, and we will have plenty of space. And we're just going to need another, 1,000 of them. Yep, that was already all of the inserters that I had. That's not a surprise. All right, these 2 down here, because this is going to be jerky, and this is going to be... Well, this is going to be my only source of jerky, so I don't have to prioritize it. Probably same with biocrud. Biocrud is always a byproduct. I don't think I'm ever intentional... Well, I should do it. Should do it. Just to be consistent, and just in case I do ever do anything where these aren't side products, I should hook them up. So these just need to be setting that these are high priority stations because these are side products. And then, other than needing more train stations and more... a lot more blue inserters, which I knew I wouldn't be able to make. This is looking okay. All right, there's a bunch of cages in there. I should probably put a buffer in here. That way, this can't back up on cages into this side of it. It shouldn't. We should never be putting out cages that fast, but just in case we are, that will work. And then here, we should be pretty close to... Yeah, we're ready to do a delivery. So does this have its request for, yeah, 30 stacks? So in theory, it's got to be this train, because there's nothing else down here. I think this train is about to do the first delivery of Augs to Central Animal Processing. Or not? Oh, yep, there it is. Alright. Let's go for a ride. Let's follow this train. What was the... Oh, stone to the moss, of course. Alright, that was fun. Yeah, and these guys are rolling through. We probably have plenty of cages, honestly. And these guys are going to want to be on as long as blood is less than... Yeah, here we go. 400. There's 1,200 in here. It's just in the pumps. There it goes. Now it's actually in the rest of the system. And then all of the other products are coming out. Is that gonna all come out fast enough? With just one gray inserter there? Yes. Just barely, but just barely is good enough. And I guess I could make this a sushi belt, and it would keep the front ones fed, because this is never going to have that many, like, in the loop. Although, as long as cages are still rolling through... Oh, I don't have a inserter there. That's why it's not working. I was like... wondering what was going on. Cool. That is working. And we've got a little bit of blood. We've got 700 blood. Okay. How is the base doing? Yeah, there's lots of moving iron plates around right now. Which is a normal part of the base turning back on. This is less than ideal. Like, this is going to run as fast as it can, but it's still weird to see. Yeah, there must have been something that turned on that started pulling small parts as soon as we got iron. Which, I mean, could be inserters, obviously. We're going to be making a bunch of those. But it could have been something else entirely. And it also could definitely be something up here that uses small parts. Not sure. Alright, well, it's ad o'clock. So I'm going to let Twitch run its ad. And then when we come back from that, our next step, well, I want to go at YAFC, and I want to, like, double-check the priorities of these things. But we'll pick one of these things, and we'll keep working towards artificial blood. I'll see everybody in just a few minutes. Alright, welcome back, everybody. Alright, we have some inserters, finally. And I think that's the last stuff that's missing from down here, is just a bunch of inserters. Oh no, also some stations. Okay. What do I need to be able to make stations? Iron plates, of course. Alright, make what we need for some stations. Batteries. Batteries are down here. Okay. I think we've got everything we need to finish up that build down there, but I don't want to run all the way down just to run all the way back here. So let's look at... thought I had, yeah, an artificial blood thing. This is theoretically scaled for one machine making artificial blood, which is way more than we need. But we can see we now have blood as one of our inputs. We do not yet have cobalt extract. I could work on that. We'd need to get nickel ore on the system. Oh, and cyanic acid, which I don't have. We could work on cyanic acid. This is just a lot of moondrops. Oh, it looks like I designed this with Moondrop Mark IIs in mind. How bad is the build if I use Mark Is, is the question. It's a pretty big build. It's not ridiculous, but it's not great. So that's something that might be a side quest that we'll need to do, is Moondrop Mark IIs to keep this a little more manageable. Decalin is why I have tar processing on the list, because Decalin needs aromatics and hydrogen. Well, aromatics specifically. And like I said, there's a way to do aromatics from... yeah, here we go. Tar to light oil, tall oil, and aromatics. And that would also give us more tall oil for the bees, so that the bees don't have to keep running off of naphtha. And yeah, so that might be the recipe we want to go for, but there's also, you know, your standard tar processing, you know, aromatics to gasoline loop. And that might also be the way to go. Oh, this naphthalene to aromatics and coke is a relatively new recipe, and that is schmancy. So anyway, that's why tar processing is on the list, because we need it for Decalin. And then the cobalt fluoride, I think I decided I was going to make on site, because it's not... well, it is used for a few things later on. So maybe we do want to make cobalt fluoride its own station. I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more. But I think short term, we already should have Nexalit on rails. I think I did that. I changed... where was it? One of these... this one? Yeah. So this sinks tailings into Nexalit, and it's fully prioritized to put that Nexalit onto rails, and then only excess comes up here to turn into alloys, which is a problem, actually, because I don't have enough Nexalit, but... Oh, look at that. I don't have enough of that. And I probably, if I check here... Yeah, we're stopped on blood again. And we're stopped on blood because... Yeah, these are all disabled. Because we have what we need. We have... Okay. Wait, you should be outputting Skull. Aren't these on when Skull is greater than 0? Wait, target full? Oh! Whoa! I have fully backed up on bones? Didn't even know that was possible in that build. Let's go drop a warehouse and move all the bones over. Because, yeah, this will make a little bit of bone meal. Yeah, and then the skin rolls through. There's still space in the skin buffer. But I'm not doing anything with bones. And they will eventually back up. Cool. Now, let's just put this up here. There we go. That should keep this thing running now. Ooh, I'm glad that I checked. Figured out what was going on there. Oh, that's you. Okay, I understand that now. I vaguely remember how some of this works. Here we go, and now we're getting a little bit of blood, so this is going to try to make a little bit more... I had so much green science backed up that I hadn't really... I caught this, like, right before it would have failed, which is fantastic. But... Well, it's fantastic that I caught it. It's not fantastic that it was going to fail. Okay. And yeah, eventually this will give us some small amount of food. Worker food. Not enough, but that's okay. Maybe I'll set up worker food on rails. I absolutely could. Is it worth it? Maybe not, but... yeah, these need a lot of inputs, don't they? Yeah, that might be worth considering setting up on rails. I'm sure that I will need more worker food eventually. The other option, of course, is now that I have just straight up meat available, is that I can get a Nexalit mine. Well, not that one, but get a Nexalit mine set up somewhere and do just have it using meat. Although the nice thing about worker food is it doesn't spoil once it's made, and that does simplify some things. So maybe that's worth it, is getting Nexalit on rails at some point and doing worker food. But I think for now it's not necessary. Oh, that is broken and wrong. Let's go down there and fix that. Those loading... I'll explain it when I get down there. We should be, when we're loading the trains here, we want to be using... yeah, you can see we're only getting like half of these engaged, and that's because this needs to be like that, right? We want this to be a two-sided belt coming through here. Same here. And that should get more of these inserters engaged with each. It's only going to reduce the loading time a little bit, but... and this is already a pretty fast... these trains are pretty fast, but... that is what we want to see. Are we doing here? 43,000? And I'm assuming we're still keeping up on stone up top. Yeah, we're keeping up on stone. And we're still staying on top of Kerrigan. Kerrigan comes through and pretty much just gets erased. Which is what we want, is the Kerrigan to just come through and get erased. Hot air? Nope. This one? There we go. These look like they're all running full tilt again. It's gonna take a little while for this to back up and start filling that. That's fine. Yeah, it's going to take a little while for hot air to fill up again. Do we have enough in this system to do a request if we need it? Not quite. Yeah, we were really well and truly out of hot air, which is really bad. Iron is making its way through, though. Yeah, the iron niobium alloy is slow. And the... okay, we're backed up on small parts again. So this should be slowly filling up through here. All right. The system is happier than it was. I'm not going to say it's happy, but... Yeah, that fills up super fast. Love to see it. Okay. And then I think there's just going to be trains going back and forth right now, dropping stone off at this until this backs up on gravel, which it may or may not do, because we do have lots of things that use gravel that are still buffering. Like, we're not going to use all that much filtration media in the grand... That's not filtration media. Filtration media in the grand scheme of things, but it uses gravel, and it's just still backing up. And once that backs up, our demand for gravel should drop a lot in the overall base. I don't know if I have anything else that, like, weirdly uses gravel or not. Yeah, urea's fully saturated. Excellent. Okay, we have started to make a little bit of rich clay here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had started to make a little bit of rich clay here. Actually, not yet. Okay. Great. That's fine with me. Oh, wait, no, rich clay's down here. Yeah, just a little bit of rich clay down here. And that's fine. We expect this system to kind of always be aging out a little bit of rich clay. I should switch this one to the sushi belt form that I decided to use down here. We look at this. You can see where it loops and extracts the thing. And apparently I missed the second inserter in all of these, so they don't actually loop. So that's cool too. Let's fix a couple of those things then. Let's start with this one where I said I want it to use the sushi belt form here. There we go. That'll just cycle around forever and ever. And what I should also do is that. Yeah. Because then it won't ever do anything off of that belt. And then we grab that and come down here, we can add the missing mergers where they're needed. All right, there we go. And we still don't have enough blue guys. $35 more, huh? All right. Probably a little more than that even. So we still need like a stack of blue inserters. We have 30,000 blood so far, which is fantastic. These guys are all doing great. I think we could use a few more cages in this loop. I don't know if it really matters, but make me feel better. Okay, I was supposed to be deciding what sort of module I wanted to build next. And I haven't really decided yet. Yeah, bears are still rolling through. That's looking good. That's looking good. This does need a few more barrels in the loop, although it's probably fine here. And then over in this one, I haven't actually checked this one since I dropped the last batch of like 1,000 barrels off of it. And that has barrels backed up all the way through. Oh, that's actually like perfect. There's just a few barrels in right at the end here. And otherwise this belt is saturated. And that is exactly what I want to see. Awesome. 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 And then, yeah, as any of this spoils, it'll just get sent right down here. Sure. What else might be broken before I dive into a new project? I'm stalling a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is actually, like, functional and normal, and that I can expect to be able to start whatever I want to start next, and it'll work. I think I can. Alright, let's start enqueuing these various turds. And then I think that's, like, the end of it for, well, I guess cliff explosives, but I don't have cliffs, so that doesn't matter so much. Alright, I think I'm actually gonna wrap up here. It's a little bit early for me, but like I said at the start of the stream, I am not feeling well. I've had a bit of a frog in my throat today, and I don't want to exacerbate that any further. I can feel it. It hurts. I don't want to talk anymore. I think today was pretty good progress getting this Auog build done and getting the Auog processing as our first sort of like central animal processing item done is good. That is working our way through the checklist. And then obviously we're going to have to make sure that we have decent, you know, uses for all of these bits and pieces coming off. The brains and the bones and guts and everything. But that is, I mean, that'll just happen, right? As we start to do more of the science components, they're going to be using a lot of those sorts of things, and then we'll find use for everything else. So yeah, thanks everybody who's tuned in. I really appreciate it, as always. And thanks, as always, to the folks who watch these on YouTube as well. I really appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube and want to watch me live, there's a link down below in the doodly-doo. And also, if you're on YouTube and you feel like doing anything to feed the algorithm, it does help small channels like mine. Yeah, that's it. Thursday will hopefully come in swinging on one of these things. I think titanium, tar processing, and cyanic acid are the three, like, fundamental ones that feed into the other bits and pieces to get to the artificial blood. We'll pick one. I don't know which one yet. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. I'll see everybody tomorrow for the usual Kerbal stream on Wednesday, and then more pie on Thursday. Ta-ta for now.